Okay, so now we're going to look at the pop-up, or how we get up out of the ukemi. So if I step back here, okay, we've landed. Our back foot in kamae is the straight leg. The front leg in kamae is the bent leg. The hand that was behind us as we flipped has now landed on the floor by our side. What we need to do now is bring the knee of our straight leg through the gap between our arm and our body. We pivot on this foot of the bent leg and we pop up into a kneeling position. Here. So that's the basic pop-up. So some exercises that we can do to get used to that without doing lots of rolls is just by doing that movement on the ground to begin with. So if I pan down, oh, that's panning up, I pan down. So, for example, if we're sitting here, if we get into this finishing position, so our heel is off the floor, this foot is flat on the floor here, the hand that was going backwards or behind us is just behind our hip. We're going to push down with this foot, that lifts our bum off the ground, and then we're going to swing this knee through this gap, like so. Again, always make sure you practice on both sides. So maybe in your practice you could do 10 on both sides, for example. Okay, so once you're from here, then add in the roll. So for example, come up onto your shoulders, roll into this position, and pop up. Again, roll, and pop, okay? You can do this from standing if you want, into koho kemi, and pop. But it's just getting used to rolling into that position and popping up as quickly as you can. Some points on this. When you push off with this hand and this foot, try to make it 50-50. This means that your hips will be right off the floor and will allow you to turn this knee in with ease. If you don't push with that hand and push with your foot, you end up at a funny angle and your body weight is too far forward and it becomes very, very difficult. So if you can push 50% with your hand, 50% with your foot, you'll rise straight up, which will allow your body to shift easily without your balance going in a strange place or your body weight being too forward. Okay, so a point that I'd like to make about this pop-up is that it's very easy to damage your knees. I say that from experience. If your knees are not in the right place or your feet are in the wrong place and you pop up and twist, you can do all sorts of damage to your knees or to your ankles or ligaments. There's a lot of strain going into your body when you do this if you don't do it correctly. So what I really stress is that you start slow and you build up to the speed. So really, when you do your practice, make sure that your feet are in the correct position after you've done your pop. So from here, make sure you pop into that position, check that your feet are underneath your knees, that your toes are properly tucked in, and that they're underneath your body. If it's sprayed like this, for example, or your foot's out here, or it's too much under your bum so that your weight is not easily or correctly distributed, when you come to stand up, you're either going to twist or be unbalanced, and if you fall, you could twist your knee or your ankle. So really make sure that once you've popped up, your feet are underneath your body, they're flat on the floor, or the front foot is flat on the floor, but all the toes are nice and flat on the back foot, so that you can push with 50% on the front and 50% on the back, so that you raise up into kamae, but very balanced, very steady on your feet. If you try and do it too quick, too soon, and your feet are in the wrong place, you could pop up, move, and twist, and possibly dislocate something. So please be very, very careful when you do this movement, and make sure that you do it correctly. Also, when you pop up here, try to make sure that your feet completely leave the mat. This way, you'll be able to go from one position into this position without twisting your feet, which could twist your knees in a strange way. So what I mean is, from here, we're not twisting on this foot. This foot comes off the ground as well. into the position. This is something that I've found when I've been practicing, because I've been very cautious of my knees after injury, of how to do this movement without causing any twist or strain. And the easiest way I can do it is if I bring both feet from the flat position into the kneeling position by lifting them off the floor. So this means that I have to really work on the pop, lifting my body weight up. So making sure that the foot is flat and the hand is flat on the ground, and we're pushing with both equally to push that body up into the air. Okay, so now let's have a look at some little points that have helped me over time with ukemi. So first of all, the head. You will be very, very surprised how nicer it makes your ukemi if you roll with your head and you let your head drop and look behind you. But what I really recommend is that you also practice keeping your eye on your partner. So as you roll, look forward until you're going into that roll and then drop your head. The reason for this is one, for your zanshin, your awareness whilst you're training. Sometimes people throw you, someone might get thrown in front of you, and just as you go to roll, someone might land, but if your head is facing forward and you can see to stop yourself or change the direction of the roll. This is really important when you're training in a busy dojo. If you're just learning ukemi, make sure that you're in an area of the mat where you've got space so no one's going to interrupt you. That way you can practice making sure that you keep your head tucked in so that you don't hurt your head. But for more experienced aikidoka or more experienced people doing rolls, make sure that you try to keep your vision forward and then tuck it at the very last minute. So for example, if I roll towards the camera, if I'm rolling here, I'm looking, and I'm back on camera. The other thing I found is that try not to always do big ukemi. Okay, it's always really, really cool and attractive to do really, really long ukemi and to try and see how far you can go. This is great, okay, and it builds your confidence in your ukemi, and it also builds your ability to stretch and your athleticism. That's fine. But also, try to do small ukemi. Because sometimes in a dojo, like I did there when I rolled in front of the camera, I ran out of room and I had to quickly think and tuck in. It's situations like this that can be very, very useful. Pai Sensei, he talks a lot when he does ukemi about reducing your body so that it's very small and light, and he tries to get you to do really slow ukemi so that you control your body through the entire movement. Okay, this is very, very difficult, and I will try and do one now, but I am still very much working on it and still find it incredibly difficult. The roll itself is always fast, but when Pai Sensei does it, it's very slow and smooth. It's very, very cool. But from here, try to really crouch down and try to make it as slow and as calm. A pretty bad example, I apologize. If I can get Pai Sensei to do it on video next time I see him, I will. It's very, very cool. But my idea being is experiment with it. Don't just do your normal ukemi. Once you're good at it, now try and go further, try and stretch farther, try and make it bigger or faster. Then try and do the opposite, make it smaller and quick, make it smaller and slower. Really try and experiment. It's a really good way to get used to your body and to understand your balance and positioning of your hips whilst doing a roll. So that's my tip for you, experiment. One point I would really like to stress is that if you're practicing ukemi, especially if you're a beginner, make sure that there is always someone with you. Okay, accidents can happen, injuries can happen, I won't lie to you, I've had them, I broke my collarbone practicing ukemi. Please don't let that put you off, but as a warning, don't do it on your own just in case something happens and you can't get to a phone or you're in a lot of pain. Always make sure that you've got someone, especially or it would be better if they were senior to you so they can give you some instruction and to stop you making some mistakes that might cause you a lot of pain. So best time to practice it in your dojo, either before or after class. Ask one of your seniors, could you just look at my ukemi, give me some helpful tips.
Okay, so I just went and did a little bit of my own practice, and as you can see, ukemi is a really good way to, well, work up a sweat. It's also really important that you work on your stamina and your fitness for Aikido, and definitely ukemi is a great way to do it. If you're teaching kids, for example, there are a lot of games that you can make with ukemi, but again, just be very careful, because kids get excited during games, and it's sometimes accidents can happen because they're not paying attention to what they're doing. But for adults, you can play some really good games. Again, be careful, sometimes you get some very lively adults, but we used to do it on the Kenshisei course. It's kind of a game, but it's also kind of quite intense training. For example, you have one person in like a bridge position, like so. You have to do ukemi over the top of them, and then army crawl underneath. The next person then jumps up, goes over the top, army crawl underneath, makes a bridge, and vice versa. So you continue the pattern, okay? Also, you can do ukemi down the dojo. You can do speed ukemi. So you want to do right and left side as quickly as possible. It's a good way to tire people out. These are really good, kind of fun, but very energetic ways to kind of build your stamina up with your ukemi and to build your speed for when you start doing jiuwaza, so free practice later on in your Aikido career. Okay, so just a final point to conclude this video, breathing. Malcolm Crawford Sensei, an incredible Aikido teacher here in the UK, he once said to me when I was still a white belt, he was like, "Nicky, breathe. When you're doing your ukemi, don't forget to breathe." So I was holding my breath, I think through tension or nerves when I was going to do the roll. Try not to do that. Try to breathe out. So the idea is that if you've got air in your body and you hit the ground hard, you're going to push that out and wind yourself. And that's how you lose your breath in jiuwaza, for example, in free practice, or you're going to get that horrible feeling when you get winded where you're like and then you're a mess on the mat. So when you roll, try to breathe out, which means there's less chance of you getting winded, but also if you're consciously breathing, it means you're not creating tension in your body, which means you're going to be more relaxed when you roll. So I hope that helps, and I hope that the points that I picked up will aid you in your practice. If there's any questions at all, please post them under the video or drop me an email on the email at the bottom of the screen, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. If there's anything that you would like me to put into a video, please don't hesitate to ask. Just drop it in an email and send it to the same address. I'll be quite happy to do it. I apologize if it takes me a while. I might have to think about what I'm going to do, or it's finding a space and time when I can shoot the video, but I will do it, I promise. There will be some more videos on other styles of ukemi, so we'll be looking at yoko, so side ukemi, ushiro, backwards ukemi, and koho ukemi, which is from just a standing and straight back up, and also hyaku ukemi, which is the forward roll but faster and with no hands until the very end. So we will be looking at those in the future. But I hope again you enjoyed this video. Please tune in next time. Please subscribe if you're on YouTube. And just to let you know very quickly, we've also now got an Instagram account. So I'll put the title or the name of the Instagram account at the bottom there. Please follow, and I'll post more pictures and videos and little notes on there. Just one last point I forgot to say. Make sure that you stretch afterwards too. So do a warm up and then do a warm down. Os.